Now, it's not just Fujitsu which has a lot to answer for. Ministers, many of whom say they were misled by the Post Office, then parroted its lines to Parliament. The Civil Service, which had a top representative on the Post Office board, also seemed to miss what was going on too, or did they? And were they keeping the ministers in the loop properly? While campaigners contacted some of the most senior members of several governments, apparently to no avail, the list of people who ignored, dismissed or enabled this mess, because it continues to grow. All of those failed to investigate when the evidence was right in front of them. It's a David versus Goliath story which has cut across the political body and goes to the heart of our society. Joining me now is Lord James Arbuthnot, a Conservative peer who has been a campaigner for justice for sub-postmasters and is also a member of the Independent Horizon Compensation Advisory Board, and who you may have seen played very ably in the ITV drama by one of our favourite character actors. What was it like seeing yourself portrayed on the small screen?
It's very odd. My family told me that Alex Jennings got my mannerisms down to a T, but of course it's quite difficult for me to tell because I don't see my mannerisms, but it is a bit peculiar.
How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling ecstatic, positively ecstatic, and I'm basking in the pleasure that I can feel across the whole of the sub-postmaster community, because they've been now A, vindicated, B, exonerated, and C, they will get the redress that they want. There's a lot to be done still, because we've got to see this policy change put into action, but we're so much closer than we were.
Yet there is still a lot of anger, certainly amongst the sub-postmasters I was listening to on the radio this morning, about accountability. Now, you have been in Parliament for many, many years, and you've seen lots of Post Office ministers come and go. There are ministers, surely, who must have questions to answer about what they knew and when, and also the civil servants at the heart of government, because you maybe ought to explain to us how it actually works when government is functioning and ministers take office, and how civil servants can or might control the flow of information to them.
Yes. The Department of Business, which oversaw and owned the Post Office, had decided to maintain an arm's length relationship with the Post Office.
How convenient was that moniker, an arm's length relationship?
Oh, completely convenient. It's like you're having a dangerous dog, and your dangerous dog goes out and bites someone, and you say, nothing to do with me, I've got an arm's length relationship with that dog. In these terms, the Post Office was a really dangerous dog, and it's costing the government millions, hundreds of millions of pounds. But when the Labour government started this arm's length arrangement, they pursued it, and then that was taken over by the Lib Dems and the Lib Dem Conservative coalition, and it was followed on by the Conservatives in the Conservative government. So no party comes out of this at all well.
But you have said on the record that you believe there was a criminal conspiracy to pervert the course of justice at the Post Office. What everyone wants to know is how high up the chain this went. What was the Post Office telling civil servants? What was it telling ministers? Because we know that the Post Office decided to sack the independent investigators who were meant to be looking at the problems sub-postmasters were having and problems with the Horizon system in 2015. That was under the Conservatives, but that process started in 2013, the shutting down process. I remember you stood up in Parliament and said the Post Office has been duplicitous in the way it's gone about this. And then, of course, the government must have had a hand in allowing the Post Office to aggressively litigate against the sub-postmasters at the High Court, because it's not allowed to spend more than £50 million unless the government minister says you can. So where is the accountability in this? Who should we be looking at? Name names.
Yes. What was Fujitsu telling the Post Office? What was the Post Office telling the Civil Service? What were the Civil Service telling ministers? That is what the public inquiry is there to find out, and we have yet to see ministers or Paula Vennells or top executives in Fujitsu or civil servants coming before that inquiry. And so that we will get to the bottom of, but not yet.
Give me the names of 3 people you would like to see answering questions, because you know from your proximity to this scandal that they should be answering questions.
One person is Alex Chisholm. He was the permanent secretary in the Department of Business at the time when the litigation was begun, and at that stage they had the reports of Second Sight, and they must have known that they were uncomfortable with the results. Another person is Paula Vennells,
Former chief executive of the
former
Post
chief
Office,
executive.
who's handed back her CBE and never spoken to a single journalist about her tenure.
She has, not even to you, and that's an astonishment.
I wonder why.
Yes, and she will know when she first discovered that remote access of the sub-postmasters' accounts was possible, and she will also know why it was that she didn't at that stage say these convictions are unsafe. And one third person I would like to hear from is Susan Crichton, the former General Counsel of the Post Office, because shortly after Second Sight issued its interim report, Susan Crichton left the Post Office without saying anything, and we don't know why. She has never said anything since. I would like to find out why she left. Was she sacked? Did she resign because she wasn't prepared to do things? We don't know.
Lord Arbuthnot, thank you for those names. We know that Paula Vennells has said she's going to be giving evidence to the inquiry. It would be a travesty if Susan Crichton didn't, and I think Alex Chisholm will be being contacted by several journalists as we speak. Thank you very much indeed for coming into Prime Time tonight, and congratulations.